morning there, guys. We're in December here finally now up in Minnesota. Got plenty of snow around right now. Got about, I think we're at about 8 inches. Well, probably 6 to 7 inches right currently, getting another 5 on Sunday. So, enjoying ourselves up here in the winter time anyway. But overall, it's a nice 33-degree day right now. It's nice and warm. It was about probably a little colder earlier this week. It was about 5 above for the high on like Tuesday. So, enjoying this warm weather outside. Mom's got the deck all shovel off over here. We're gonna pick out a Christmas tree from behind the shop in a little while. But first things first, I put a master cylinder in the silver Concord over there outside. So it's nice out. It's lost some. It's a little spongy. And then also, as you can see, the Eagle's kind of sitting low in the back again. So our shock line kit did not solve the problem. It actually prolonged it a little better, so it would stay up probably about 3 days. And then after 3 days, it's back to this kind of thing. So got a fresh set of shocks. I'm gonna put them in here in a few minutes and put it in the shop. And then I'm also gonna put a couple idler pulleys on. I greased the ones I had before. The one's making a little bit of noise on the top one above the power steering pump, so I'm gonna change that one. Check the fluids and stuff too before my Christmas party for work later today. So we'll get to it. I will say she doesn't mind the cold at all though. She fires right up. So one pump ready to go. That power steering started making a little noise yesterday too on the way home, so I'm sure that's a little low as well. So more or less this time of year we do a lot of maintenance on dailies and that kind of thing, just because it's kind of handy to have vehicles you can drive to work. So well, you can't work on race cars, you don't have money to do it with. A whole garage full of Eagles today. Well, we got the whole crowd in here now this time, so. But sometimes you do what you gotta do, so. But so work on the shocks right here on the floor. My dad's trying to work on that. And I got the Eagle just centered perfectly enough. We can get the hood open right between the two tires and the White Eagle. So should be perfectly ready to work. So we'll get to work under here and get some pulleys changed. You gotta change this one right here, making a little bit of noise. And then as you can tell, power steering is a little mad at life, so I'm guessing that's probably low. It leaks a little bit, so fill that up, fill the oil up, and then do a couple other little things under here. So after more observation for a second here, it looks like this is going dry over here. So looks like I do a power steering line issue, like I possibly thought I did. So, and we got grease everywhere. It looks pretty good overall. This was very wet in this corner, but it does show in the middle of the line here. It's very clean, suspiciously. So. Guessing it's got a crack in the line right there, something going on. So we do have an extra hose on hand though, right here from other stuff. So I'll be getting all greasy putting this bad boy on too. We keep a lot of parts on hand for them because they are our daily cars. That's what we drive, is AMC Eagles or daily vehicles. So we don't have anything newer than 2006 here, which is our Super Duties. So we're all driving 80 stuff. So along with driving 80 stuff requires some maintenance. Well, usually what we do is we spend every 5 years going through all of our daily drivers and getting them all maintenance up, ready to go for a while, and they're good for usually about 5 years, and then it's time to do some more maintenance on them again, which is about where we're at with the White Eagle here and the blue one. So, but and with that being said, I know a lot of people watching the channel are kind of wondering where's all the race car content at. I kind of started the channel with in the middle of summer when we were going to the racetrack, we were working on our race cars, that kind of stuff. And I will say there's more of that coming. It's just right now, this time of year, we're working on all our daily drivers, getting everything ready to go so we have our cars to drive, so we can get to work, so we can buy race car parts for the race cars. So probably will be some more Eagle videos for a little bit yet with working on these two, also with the tan one over here, getting that ready to go. But also there's a lot of applicable content to everybody watching the channel in the case of like this tan car over here is parked since probably 2003. So like the content applies to like getting a car back to running again from me parked for a long time, like changing belts and hoses and what all that entails, and also just general maintenance stuff on AMCs in general. So there's a lot of applicable content you guys will see. It may be a little more on Eagles though, as opposed to like more race car kind of stuff. That content is definitely coming. Early part of next year, we're gonna get back to doing some updates, and there'll be a lot of really cool stuff coming, I promise you. Like we have a lot of great ideas for this year, and a lot of elaborate schemes to make some stuff, do some really fun things, I should say. So we're looking forward to a pretty fun racing season, put it that way. So we're just kind of getting ourselves set up so we can get to work and not to worry about our dailies for a while. That way we can focus more on the fun content, the one Alice enjoys, the engine building, the transmissions, the rear ends, the chassis work, the roll cages, the kind of stuff like that. So, but anyway, suppose I'll quit my rambling and get to work over here. I got a lot to do before 5. Alright, we got our air cleaner out of the way and stuff. Enough light here so we can see something going on. I will say, having this car above you, this close, is actually take the light cord and shove it around next to the tire over here on the white eagle, hanging off the mirror. So the light hangs there pretty nicely. So there is one benefit to having too much stuff in your garage at one time. But anyway, so we got the fittings loose down here. So we got the one right here on the power steering, on the actual power steering box itself, and out of the back of the pump, which is below this drain line right here. So we're gonna pull both those out, and then we should be able to get our hose out of here. So if you guys can see it here, as you saw that nice clean spot earlier today. So if you can see it, I don't know if it'll show up on the camera or not, but you can kind of see it bubbling through the hose a little bit as I'm squeezing it in this spot right here. That around right there. It's hard to really see in the camera, but you can kind of see it coming out somewhere right here. Anyway, this is the hose is bad anyway. It's got a pinhole in it about right here, so it's blowing all this power steering fluid in this general area. So. While I'm doing this, parents are working on the shocks over here. So as underneath, they're getting all cozy and on them shocks. This is a fresh set of Muro air shocks put in this car, so we usually use most of them. So, well, I got some hoses off and stuff, as you guys saw. So I got the vent hose out of my way, and then also my heat shield, which I usually put on with a hose clamp on the actual heat riser plate on the manifold, which helps hold it on. Anyway, so I got the one loose down here on the power steering, the actual box itself. I did get this one loose, but there's something to pay attention to. Is that there's a nut on the back of this pump. It's in the back of the pump that this goes into. So the back of the nut in the back of the pump loosened up, not the actual line itself. So watch what you're doing there. So now I got to figure out a way to hold that and loosen this at the same time. I get a little better visual on that here now. There you go. You can see it now. So the actual nut in the back of the power steering pump, or the we'll say adapter, which is this piece right there, is actually I'm talking about, which that came loose. This piece came loose out of the pump instead of this nut coming loose out of it. So I gotta hold this and loosen this at the same time so you don't have that problem. All right, well, I had a helper here for a second because that nut I was talking about. But anyway, where we're sitting is that, since the lines are junk anyway, and where this wrench sits, I can get to my line wrench on, it's right on top of this nut right there. So I can't get a full hook on it to push it loose before I actually ruin the end of it, which I might have to use in the next line. By the looks of things. I'm actually just going to chop the line off right here and put a socket on it. Because right now I have dabbed with the 1-inch wrench on the holding that piece in still while I was trying to get it loose and it wasn't quite working. So, but anyway, so I'm going to chop the end off, put a socket on it. We'll get that side out of the pump. As you can tell, I cut it off pretty short anyway. Cut it off about inch long. So we can fit a nice deep socket 18 on it. Just like this. Put it right over the top. And then have your helper on the bottom side hold it tight, and we can pull that fitting out of there. Well, as you guys can tell in this time lapse there, we got her apart. My dad had his hand from the bottom side, so we got her cut off and disassembled anyway. This is the piece over here. So as you can tell, it is still the AC style. I was thinking it was the other style, but I forgot this is a later car, so I'm incorrect in this. This would be the same style. My dad was talking, he actually have another hose out back on an Eagle motor we got. So we're actually gonna use that instead, since this car is, I guess, kind of my winter beater. So I'll just save our nice, perfect hose here for something else that we're gonna use probably a little longer than this car. So, but anyway, we'll go out there quick, get that one off the old motor out of the Brown Eagle, and then we'll get back to it here in a few minutes. Pull the wall down and lean too quick, and we can get to pulling that hose off. I guess Rambo wants to go. Apparently going to the house where all the snacks are located. And if you guys didn't hear that, I almost let the roof smoke me a couple seconds ago with the snow, since metal roof, the snow comes off towards the door side. So this type of temperature, you gotta watch yourself for it's be a little cold on the back of the neck. Anyway, we got the Eagle motor on the end over here, so we're gonna pop this hose off. Isn't too bad, obviously. One side's already out of there, so get out of the pump right here, and then we'll bring her inside. There we go. Got a fresh used hose. Toss this on. Be ready to go. So now we got our hose. We'll get this thing all cleaned up. As you can tell, it's got pretty nice ends. Yeah, it's still an original hose, actually. I think the Eagle only had, we took it out of, only had like 60 grand on or something. It's a pretty low mileage car. It's just rusty here from Minnesota, so. And Dad's working on the shock operations. As you guys saw in the other video, they are a little, these are one of the ones I've had in here for 13 years. So they've seen some stuff, put it that way. But they were doing good, but obviously it was just time to put a new set in and stop dealing with it. So our fresh set of Monroes over here. That's we're gonna get my plates cleaned up a little bit, since they are a little crispy, it looks like.
They're a little fat, but they'll be all right for now.
Oh yeah, it's for
a little bit of time left. You're gonna use this car. Don't matter. They'll be sufficient. They just gotta last another 6 months or a year. We keep saying that, so probably 2 years.
Most likely, yeah. And truthfully enough, if it keeps working, I'll keep driving it. So, but we'll work on that. I'm gonna get this other hose out of the pump quick, get that cleaned up, and we'll get that installed here in a few minutes. Oh, and as far as our air shocks go, what actually was these four originally? Are they actually Eagle shocks, or are they?
These are actually ordered for an Eagle.
Okay, so they do actually.
So they actually fit a Javelin and a Javelin AMX. As you notice, they got a loop at the bottom and a stud at the top. So these will fit in a Javelin and a Javelin AMX. They fit in the 70, the 71, and the 72 Gremlin and Hornet as well.
Okay, yeah, just the early cars that I've actually the Boss stud on the plate.
Yeah, they have an axle stud sticking out, coming out of the shock bracket.
Yeah, as opposed to the hole like this, like the later AMCs would have, like the AMXs and the Concords.
The later ones have this on both ends.
Yeah, stud on both ends. Yes. Okay. So the part number.
MA700.
MA
Monroe number.
MA700 for the Monroe number. Okay. I'll put that on the screen too here. And so you guys are thinking, why don't you just put new springs in the car instead of air shocks? Well, I run air shocks. I tow with this car sometimes. I have a trailer hitch on it that I beefed up pretty heavily. So I tow the 4x8 job trailer with it all the time, all over the place. We use this for a whole summer doing the job. I've built houses for a lot of years, actually. So it's not a lot of work. It's seen a lot of stuff. So, but the air shocks work great for that, because you can make a stiffer ride or a softer ride or whatever. And also this car too, the springs in there are still original, and I'm not going to change them in this thing because, well, it's rusty in a lot of spots, and I don't want to play with those bolts. So. And if you guys decide to use a used hose like I am right here, something I always remember, make sure your fittings move nice and suavely on the actual hose, on the piping itself. That way it tightens up easy. The O-rings gotta turn, make sure they're nice and lubricated, and you can turn and move freely on the piece there too. So if they don't, you don't have any lube or anything unless you end up ripping this O-ring, and then you'll be back in this nice spacious cavity doing this job twice. In retrospect, it's not that bad actually, but why get in there? Why go in there twice if you don't really have to? Now we got our hose all ready to go over there. Pull the old one off the pump, off the actual sector down there anyway. So I already loosened it up earlier, as you guys saw. So make sure you get everything cleaned off so we're not dropping any dirt and anything. Don't need more problems in the future. On the bright side, though, of this braking actually is we do have some really nice rust proofing now on this whole area of the car over here. So it should make everything disassemble later when we part this car out. So. And it's also handy for the winter up here too, so. Ugh. Stubborn. I don't know. There we go. Get that one out of the way. And it's good that it barfs out like that, because it barfs out any dirt or problems you may have hanging out right there. So we'll make sure we get all the dirt out of there while it's still barfing out of the hole. can shove ours in there. And ready to go. Like that. Make sure everything's out of our way. Do my best to keep a nice visual on it so you guys can see what I'm doing. Start to catch threads here. Oh, a little stubborn still. I like to kind of just jiggle it like this back and forth a little bit. I apologize, I don't know if my face is in the camera or not. Probably not actually, but you can kind of see what I'm doing more than... Better see what I'm doing more than you see my face anyway, so... Got that there, that one's fine down there. Make sure that stays clean, which it is. I got our stuff falling everywhere. We'll pull our plug out of our pump. At the bottom over here. That up here for now. We'll run that in the back of the pump. We got stuff in the end of it, moving it around. Come over here a little more. Make sure that's clean as well. That's also leaking a little bit of fluid the same way, which is a good thing. Make sure we don't get anything caught in there. Exact same way. There, that one's going there really nice now. There we go.
What? Which bolt?
Going there nice, and there we go. Now we got the hose in both spaces, ready to go. We can drop our wrench down there and some tension on them. You don't have to go bottom's eye with these things. They will seal pretty good. This style fitting without a whole lot of super tight. Something kind of like that should be good to go. As long as your hose ain't moving, it'll be fine. That's what I was talking about with the heat riser, putting a hose clamp on it like this. That way it stays on the boss down here nicely. Around the tin plate over there, because that actually operates your door. It's in your air cleaner right here. There's actually a flipper door inside there. Basically suck radiant heat off the exhaust manifold up to here into the air cleaner to actually let the motor warm up a lot faster. So as goofy as that thing looks like on the side of the motor, it does actually very much help in the wintertime characteristics of these cars. Warm up faster and run easier when it's cold outside. So I was going to put some pulleys on this thing, but I decided since thinking about it, the one that makes the most amount of noise that kind of actually slows the motor down once in a while is this top one right here, which that comes in today. That one down there I think will be okay, the one down by the alternator. So I'm going to wait till tomorrow, because I'll pick this one up on the way to my Christmas party here tonight. And I'll change this one, and that should be good. But I got the power steering fluid all filled up, got my hose is tight, got my heat riser thing back on, so already put the air cleaner back on with the battery cable back up, and we should be good under the hood of this car. And we just gotta finish up the shock operations in the back. And then we'll be ready to go on the Blue Eagle for now anyway. Yeah, and with the bolts, usually we just go like this. Like just really dip them in the grease like that, and you're good to go. So don't worry about too much on it, not a problem there.
So up in the top here, you got the bolts that go up into the body that hold the top of the shock in place on a bracket. Those bolts get pretty rusty in them holes. So what I like to do is I got this wire brush that fits in my impact. You can have a drill, whatever you like, but you clean out them holes nice and good with a wire brush them out so they're nice and clean. Get as much rust out of there as possible. That way the bolts will go back in with your fingers, and then when you put the bolts back in, you're gonna put grease in them holes. Put grease up inside of them holes. So my helper here, Bobby, would give me the grease. I can put some grease in them holes since I've already prepared those. This is obviously easier if you're on the hoist or you're not working on a wet floor, but you know, you use what you have on the day you're doing it. Of course, it's winter here, so we have to accommodate rather than get a mess everywhere. So that's prepared now, and then the next thing will happen here is I'll need a paper towel to clean off my hand, and then I can move on to the next part of the other process that I usually do here with putting shocks in these, and that is checking this stud here. You have a look at this stud. Sometimes they're fat with rust. I had already did the other side. So this stud right here will get really fat with rust driving in the rust zones we live in. So what I like to do is tap on that and break the extra slag of rust off of it and clean it so the shock will slide on easy and not bind on it, and then the rubber will actually fit. Sometimes, however, they can get so rusty that they'll be too small around and your shock will clunk up and down in them. So if that's the case and they get too small around as you clean them off, you don't want to get yourself caught up in putting it on there and saying good enough. There is an easy remedy, but anyway, so we're going to clean this one off, and then I'm going to clean up these threads, and then I'm going to grease these threads before installing the next shock. So of course we have salt here about 7, sometimes 8 months, about 7 months out of the year, which the roads are salted, and then the other months they chloride the gravel roads. So we have salt all the time operating here. So we like to grease all these things, that way when it's time to remove the surface things, they come right off again. Or at least it makes the process easier. Anyway, then we'll show you that remedy if you have too big of a problem with that getting too small around as you pound on it, as you burn off this stud, which comes in from the back. It's pressed in here with a knurl, and then in tack weld you can burn it off, and they make a replacement stud which actually comes with the shocks. So you see it comes in from the back side after you burn out the other one, which comes in from the back side as well. It's pressed in and then tack welded. So you burn that off or drill it, whatever your choice is. If you don't have access to torches, then you go ahead and you push this one in from the back side again, and then you have a new stud in place, and that'll have the same diameter as the shock right here. And that also has a flat area on it, allowing you to put a wrench on it to hold it as you tighten the other end. So that's how you repair it if it's actually wore out too much, after you tap that fat rust where it's gotten built up and swollen itself.
Well, we got everything done under the hood anyway. Got a fresh set of black shocks up in here now, and we're all ready to go. So put her outside, make sure the pump's full, and we should be ready to start the next escapade for today. Well, we got the eagle out of the way, and I put the concord in the hole.
The master cylinder is bad, and so the brakes have been sitting without working. So that back one on this side is a little cranky. Probably gonna have to clean and sand that.
It has back brakes and no front, as it appears to be right now. So, as I showed in the other video, you can see the panel goes all the way to the floor, not doing much. So, we'll see what's going on with that.
Yeah, we'll have to check it out. We'll see what the deal is. It doesn't have very good brakes. That's all we know, and they were working, and now they don't. So. Pedal goes to the floor, and so either it broke a line or hose or the master's bad, but it sure seems like the master's bypassing. But we'll see. So as I suspected, it's full to the top, and I kind of figured it was bypassing because I drove it last. Bobby had brought it for me to use, but I had checked the fluid on 11 to 24 and it was full, and I didn't see anything leaking, so I just popped this off now. So it's still full, so now we can assume that the remanufactured master cylinder that I put in, probably about 3 years ago now, maybe 4, as bad. So time to swap that out and get her bled, and this car is back in business. So we'll get to her. As you can see, I pulled the other one, swapped it in for a fresh one, remanufactured, that I had in stock on the shelf, and I'm letting it air bleed. I'm letting it just gravity bleed down some right there, and getting it to run out of both ports and get onto the napkins. Once it's got a little gravity bleeding in it there, then we'll go ahead and I'll have Bobby pump the brakes. As she pushes down, I'll put my finger over the hole slightly so it allows the fluid to come out. And when she lets off, I'll plug those ports so it doesn't suck air back into the master cylinder. And I'll have her continue to do that for a little bit to make sure we don't have any air in the system. Then I can go ahead, as she's pushing the pedal down really, really slowly, put one of them into the port. You just have to make sure the pedal doesn't hit the floor before you're all the way tight. So you start threading it in, and then start applying the pedal. This is after bleeding it, several times. But then you apply the pedal slowly, and then turn the bolt in. You tighten up the bolt before it hits the floor, and then that way there's no room for it to bottom out to create air going in. Once you get one done, then you go ahead and make sure everything's full, and move on to the second one and do the same thing. And at that point, then you got your master cylinder bled, and you're ready to go again. So when Bobby comes back out to the shop here in a minute or two, we'll go ahead and get it bled out.
Well, since we're in December now, it's that time of the year. It's about time to go out back and buy ourselves a Christmas tree. So I'll get her all marked out. We'll probably slice her down tomorrow. She's got some more stuff to do, but I'll get it marked in the warm weather so we can actually see what's going on too. So we'll go off in the woods here behind the Jeeps and see what we can find. I'll have to play around out here for a little bit, through all the legs and trees and stuff, and have my assistant over here. Did find something anyway, so a nice little patch right here. Probably gonna take this middle one right here in the middle there, since it's kind of this nice little crowded section. That way we can have some other ones. That one can grow a little better next time. These other guys get a little more sunlight. So put a ribbon on that. We'll probably cut her down later. Get ready to haul her in the house. We'll have to struggle first. Well, after being stubborn, now letting the sun warm up long enough, as you guys saw. Got the trail here by the shop, so get that chopped up to the right height and get her tossed in the house here in a couple seconds. So I was at my Christmas party last night and stuff. My dad finished up work on the Concord over here, had the brakes working. And just on his video footage, basically it was the master cylinder that was the problem. So after changing that, car stops just fine, it's ready to go. And driving my Eagle last night worked just fine too. Steers nice and easy with that power string pump. It actually has pressure now with a good hose. And back end's still in the air. That's what we're talking about. So, but I'm going to the shop here, and now we got the tree put in the house a little bit ago. And we'll work on the back room here for a few minutes, get some of this wrapped up. Got a lot of this done actually last couple of days after work. Got a lot of the sheeting done, all the rough sheeting done, seeing a little trim work we need to and that kind of stuff. And then we'll probably start on getting the duct work done for our exhaust fan over there. So. Well, after getting about 5 inches of snow on Sunday here, we're getting more right now coming down as well. So I think it's time to fire up the old Alligator here, our J20, and get this driveway cleaned up for a few minutes before we finish editing for the day. Getting the Concord all cleaned off here for Mom to go to work here in a few minutes, and then get the old Alligator fired up over here and clean up the yard. Not too bad out here. I'm impressed it's snowing more though. It said it was supposed to be done yesterday, but can't really trust me in this sort of weather, honestly. No snow tires or anything. Concord rolls out. Well, now we got the driveway done, as you guys saw in the GoPro footage. We'll get the whole yard cleaned up here. Everything where you see right here as well, where I'm standing, everything up to the house. And then also down past the 48 foot over here where we actually haul wood to. So speaking of that, I gotta turn the lights on for my dad. We got everything all cleaned up anyway, all done by the garage over here, down the driveway, all in front of the house. Lots of room for activities over here now. So got a winter wonderland all ready to go for Christmas time. So but that's a wrap for this video, so catch y'all later. Well, we were done for the day, but then we looked at our trailers and realized that 48 feet of roof probably needed to be shoveled off with a 12 feet of wet snow. 12 inches of wet snow. So got that one done. 24 foot, now the 48 foot. So probably not the best idea to stay on top of the ladder, but works for me. Build houses enough to get at the table. But now officially, that's a wrap for this video. Well, thank you guys for watching this channel. If you enjoyed what you saw, hit that like button, smash the subscribe button there too. We'll catch you all later.